Surely God would not have created such a being as man, with an ability to grasp the infinite, to exist only for a day. No, man was made for immortality. Books serve to show a man that those original thoughts of his aren't very new at all. Public sentiment is everything. With public sentiment, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed. Common-looking people are the best in the world. That is the reason the Lord makes so many of them. Everyone desires to live long, but no one would be old. I know that the Lord is always on the side of the right, but it is my constant anxiety and prayer that I in this nation may be on the Lord's side. Any people anywhere, being inclined and having the power, have the right to rise up and shake off the existing government and form a new one that suits them better. This is a most valuable, a most sacred right, a right which we hope and believe is to liberate the world. I was born and have ever remained in the most humble walks of life. A man watches his pear tree day after day, impatient for the ripening of the fruit. Let him attempt to force the process, and he may spoil both fruit and tree. But let him patiently wait, and the ripe pear at length falls into his lap. There is no grievance that is a fit object of redress by mob law. Hold on with a bulldog grip, and chew and choke as much as possible. When I hear a man preach, I like to see him act as if he were fighting bees. Let not him who is houseless pull down the house of another, but let him work diligently and build one for himself, thus by example assuring that his own shall be safe from violence when built. The leading rule for the lawyer, as for the man of every calling, is diligence. I can make more generals, but horses cost money. My paramount object in this struggle is to save the Union, and is not either to save or to destroy slavery. If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it, and if I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I would also do that. The time comes upon every public man when it is best for him to keep his lips closed. True patriotism is better than the wrong kind of piety. We here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. These men ask for just the same thing, fairness, and fairness only. This, so far as in my power, they and all others shall have. Gold is good in its place, but loving, brave, patriotic men are better than gold. 67 years ago our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. I desire so to conduct the affairs of this administration that if at the end I have lost every other friend on earth, I shall at least have one friend left, and that friend shall be down inside of me. Never regret what you don't write. In great contests, each party claims to act in accordance with the will of God. Both may be, and one must be wrong. Fellow citizens, we cannot escape history. We of this Congress and this administration will be remembered in spite of ourselves. No personal significance or insignificance can spare one or another of us. The fiery trial through which we pass will light us down in honor or dishonor to the latest generation with the fearful strain that is on me night and day. If I did not laugh, I should die. Our defense is in the preservation of the spirit which prizes liberty as a heritage of all men, in all lands, everywhere. Destroy this spirit, and you have planted the seeds of despotism around your own doors. If ever I feel the soul within me elevate and expand to those dimensions not wholly unworthy of its almighty architect, it is when I contemplate the cause of my country, deserted by all the world beside, and I standing up boldly and lone and hurling defiance at her victorious oppressors. I do not expect the Union to be dissolved. I do not expect the house to fall. but I do expect it will cease to be divided. It will become all one thing or all the other. When the white man governs himself, that is self-government. But when he governs himself and also governs another man, that is more than self-government. That is despotism. With public sentiment, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed. To give victory to the right, not bloody bullets, but peaceful ballots only, are necessary. I think that slavery is wrong, morally, socially, and politically. I desire that it should be no further spread in these United States, and I should not object if it should gradually terminate in the whole Union. The highest art is always the most religious, and the greatest artist is always a devout person. There is another old poet, whose name I do not now remember, who said, "Truth is the daughter of time. Repeal the Missouri Compromise. Repeal all compromises. Repeal the Declaration of Independence. Repeal all past history. You still cannot repeal human nature. It will be the abundance of man's heart that slavery extension is wrong. And out of the abundance of his heart, his mouth will continue to speak." These capitalists generally act harmoniously and in concert to fleece the people. And now that they have got into a quarrel with themselves, we are called upon to appropriate the people's money to settle the quarrel. As our case is new, we must think and act anew. When I am getting ready to reason with a man, I spend 1/3 of my time thinking about myself and what I am going to say, and 2/3 about him and what he is going to say. Some single mind must be master, else there will be no agreement in anything. A capacity and taste for reading gives access to whatever has already been discovered by others. Concede that the new government of Louisiana is only to what it should be. As the egg is to the fowl, we shall sooner have the fowl by hatching the egg than by smashing it. Everybody likes a compliment. I have great respect for the semicolon. It is a mighty handy little fellow. It is not my nature, when I see a people borne down by the weight of their shackles, the oppression of tyranny, to make their life more bitter by heaping upon them greater burdens. But rather would I do all in my power to raise the yoke than to add anything that would tend to crush them, standing, as I do, with my hand upon the staff. And under the folds of the American flag, I ask you to stand by me so long as I stand by it. The mystic cords of memory, stretching from every battlefield and patriot grave to every living heart and hearthstone all over this broad land, will yet swell the chorus of the Union, when again touched, as surely they will be, by the angels of our nature. Don't swap horses in crossing a stream. The people will save their government, if the government itself will allow them. Republicans are for both the man and the dollar, but in case of conflict, the man before the dollar. Knavery and flattery are blood relations. I am rather inclined to silence. I hold that while man exists, it is his duty to improve not only his own condition, but to assist in ameliorating mankind. Illinois surpasses every other spot of equal extent upon the face of the globe in fertility of soil, and in the proportionable amount of the same which is sufficiently level for actual cultivation. We think the Dred Scott decision is erroneous. We know the court that made it has often overruled its own decisions, and we shall do what we can to have it overrule this. In giving freedom to the slave, we assure freedom to the free, honorable alike in that we give and what we preserve. We shall nobly save, or meanly lose, the last best hope of earth. A living dog is better than a dead lion. Judge Douglas, if not a dead lion for this work, is at least a caged and toothless one. How can he oppose the advances of slavery? He don't care anything about it. If a man had more than one life, I think a little hanging would not hurt this one, but after he is once dead, we cannot bring him back, no matter how sorry we may be, so the boy shall be pardoned. There may sometimes be ungenerous attempts to keep a young man down, And they will succeed, too, if he allows his mind to be diverted from its true channel to brood over the attempted injury. No policy that does not rest upon some philosophical public opinion can be permanently maintained. Either the opponents of slavery will arrest the further spread of it and place it where the public mind shall rest in the belief that it is in course of ultimate extinction, or its advocates will push it forward till it shall become alike lawful in all the states, old as well as new, north as well as south. I was losing interest in politics when the repeal of the Missouri Compromise aroused me again. What I have done since then is pretty well known. Let reverence for the laws be breathed by every American mother to the lisping babe that prattles on her lap. Let it be taught in schools, in seminaries, and in colleges. Let it be written in primers, spelling books, and in almanacs. Let it be preached from the pulpit, proclaimed in legislative halls, and enforced in courts of justice. The assertion that all men are created equal was of no practical use in effecting our separation from Great Britain, and it was placed in the Declaration not for that, but for future use. Whatever woman may cast her lot with mine, should any ever do so, it is my intention to do all in my power to make her happy and contented. And there is nothing I can imagine that would make me more unhappy than to fail in the effort. I am like a man so busy in letting rooms in one end of his house that he can't stop to put out the fire that is burning the other. My father removed from Kentucky to Indiana in my 8th year. It was a wild region with many bears and other wild animals still in the woods. There I grew up. Of course, when I came of age, I did not know much. Still, somehow, I could read, write, and cipher. But that was all. In this sad world of ours, sorrow comes to all, and to the young, it comes with bitterest agony because it takes them unawares. I have had experience enough to know what I say. We can succeed only by concert. It is not, can any of us imagine better, but can we all do better? I have said 100 times, and I have no inclination to take it back, that I believe there is no right, and ought to be no inclination in the people of the free states to enter into the slave states, and to interfere with the question of slavery at all. I have said that always the people know their rights, and they are never slow to assert and maintain them when they are invaded. Biographies, as generally written, are not only misleading, but false. In most instances, they commemorate a lie and cheat posterity out of the truth. It has so happened in all ages of the world that some have labored, and others have, without labor, enjoyed a large proportion of the fruits. If there should prove to be one real, living free state Democrat in Kansas, I suggest that it might be well to catch him and stuff and preserve his skin as an interesting specimen of that soon-to-be extinct variety of the genus Democrat. Nothing new here, except my marrying, which to me is a matter of profound wonder. Never stir up litigation. A worse man can scarcely be found than one who does this.